Hello, and welcome to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast with astrologer Shelley Overton. Hi, it's Shelley Overton, and you are listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast on SoundCloud and YouTube. I'm so used to saying Blog Talk, but I'm not there anymore. I'm over here on SoundCloud and YouTube, and I've got this computer sitting on a different surface today, so it probably looks a little bit different. I thought I'd get rid of a lot of the boxes behind me. Anyway, I want to welcome you to today's show. It's Christmas Day after, so we're talking Boxing Day, we're talking the first day of Kwanzaa, and so welcome. Hope you are not getting involved in all the craziness shopping some more, but I understand if you are. I've got tons of coupons good for December 26th and beyond. Anyway, so we're going to chit-chat a bit today. It's not going to be as stressful, hopefully, and not go into a lot of we're doing this and this is happening. I'm trying not to say a lot of the things that I normally say, because personally it gets kind of tiring to hear the same things over and over. So you probably are that way as well. But so anyway, this has been a difficult week. My sister lost her in-laws this week. They were both elderly, but came down with COVID, and that was due to interaction at church. And now my sister and her husband both have it, and he's in the hospital. So I'm a little bit stressed out, and I do move this weekend coming up, so that's another stressor. So I just want to let you know where I'm coming from this week. And if I'm a little distracted, that may be why. But I do want to check in with you and let you know that I'm here and I am aware of what's going on astrologically. I'm hunkered down here, hunched over. But yeah, anyway, I've got a few charts up. The charts I have are the full moon on the 29th, which is going to be in the sign of Cancer. A little bit, it's been really cold here in Orlando, and so I'm a bit stuffy, not only from, the heat coming on, but also I was interacting with cats. So I thought I got all the cat hair off, but maybe I didn't. Anyway, I'm a little stuffy, as it seems like I am every week, but hopefully that won't be too annoying for those of you who take time out of your week to really listen in on what I'm telling you. Hopefully, we'll see. But I've got a chart for right now. I've got a chart for what's going on New Year's Day here in Orlando. The chart for that. I've got the chart for the US, which means Washington, D.C. at 12 o'clock midnight on January 1st. And then I've also got the Cancer moon, full moon, on the 29th. So we're going to kind of go over those charts. And I did print out a chart for you for New Year's. And that's going to help me tell you a little bit about each of the signs and what we can expect in the coming year. I have not done my annual New Year's astrology because as I've told you, I'm very busy this week and very distracted. So I'm going to try and give you as much as I can that I can do with what I've got here. And, as per usual, I'm immersed in my planetary position planners. I've got my 2020 and my 2021. Look at that. Woo! Anyway, again, if you want them, you can find a link on my website, which is angeliczodiac.com. And yeah. Okay, so much goes through my head when I do these podcasts. But yeah, again, I apologize. It's the day after Christmas, and I'm just trying to get this up for you. I found that Saturday seems to be the day that is most conducive to doing this. So hopefully I can just stay consistent with Saturday and not try and get it earlier and always end up on Saturday. If you just knew it's coming up on Saturday, we're all good. Okay, so let's see here. Let's say what's coming up for the new year for the end. And then I'm going to do, man, maybe it'll go away soon, or I might pause or something. I don't know. So you don't have to listen to me sniffling. I think some of the most frustrating things for me as a podcaster to listen to on other podcasts is people eating, putting food in their mouth and thinking that nobody can hear food in their mouth. And sniffling, coughing, or making other congestion noises. It's just always like, mute it, please, just mute. So I apologize. I will sniffle here and mute it for you so you don't have to. There, how's that? Much better. Anyway, I kind of, I'm getting to a point where it would be really nice to talk to somebody live. I just don't have the equipment to be able to do that yet. So hopefully when I get settled and wherever I'm going to be, I'm kind of still up in the air as to where I'm going to be, because I'm trying to figure out where I'm best going to land for my family and for what I want to do with my career, and where I'm at. I just am still kind of up in the air. So welcome to Aquarius at 6 degrees on my house of home and family. I get Jupiter and Saturn going into my house of home and family this year. And as you can see, it's already pretty much put me in upheaval with regards to that. So anyway, enough about me. Let's get to what's going on now. So today I've got December 26th, 2:47 p.m. and we have 24 degrees on the horizon. And Jupiter Saturn were conjunct this week. And I'm just so excited. I have to just interject here. It was so cool that all the astrologers were talking about this amazing event, an 800-year event and 400-year event. And, Jupiter Saturn, first time conjunct since the 1600s or whatever in that. To see people get excited about that because of the astronomy of it. And obviously, if you do astrology, astronomy is a huge part of it. You know where the planets are in the sky. And so you talk about that all the time, but people forget that when I'm talking about the planets and the lights, the sun and the moon, they're really out there in the sky, in different quadrants of the sky, in different areas of the sky, directly relating to us. So when you have all these people come together and get out their telescopes and have events, I watch a YouTuber she does nothing in the astrology realm. She's just a family vlogger, but she got her family out and they all went and, met in this field where a bunch of town people were all watching this event, this significant event. And so it was really cool. And then maybe that's just a little step forward for astrology where people are like, wow, this is a really cool event. And then they see what's going on in that week and they're like, wow, there's this major event. And then we have these other events that are going on and maybe there's a correlation. So it's kind of cool. Anyway, we've got the moon at 28 degrees Taurus as I'm speaking. And so, of course, in less than an hour, probably, it's going to go into the sign of Gemini. So let's just find out when that is, because I'm here talking about it. 6:33. So I guess we got 2.5 hours, 3 hours before it goes in and changes signs. So really the significant moon is going to be in Gemini for the weekend. Excuse me. And then this week we've got a full moon in Cancer on Tuesday. And it's amazing to me. It seems like it was just the new moon, just the solar eclipse. And now we've already got the full moon. So 2 weeks flew by, and probably part of that was because of Christmas. But the full moon is Tuesday the 29th at 10:28 p.m. Eastern, 7:28 Pacific p.m. And so we're going to see what's going on with that. And I'll talk about that in a minute because I did a chart for that. But the current chart, like I said, the moon is just coming up on the horizon here where I'm at. And Uranus is at 6 degrees in Taurus, just came up on the horizon and is retrograde. It doesn't go direct until the first week of January. I think I've said this before. I think it's either the 12th or the 7th. 2 events happen the beginning of January. One is Mars goes into Taurus, that's the 7th. And the other is Uranus goes direct on the 13th or 14th. I'd have to look it up. to tell you exactly. Okay, so anyway, let's see, which ephemeris are we looking at? I'm very chatty today. You know, honestly, there's a lot of times when I do podcasts and I feel like everything is just so regimented and I don't really get to show much of, you know, me. It's a lot more of the astrology, which I really value and I want to share and I want to teach. But sometimes I think people want to know who you are as a person so they can relate to you. And so I'm hopefully showing you a little bit more of who I really am through today. And yeah, I did get to spend Christmas with my son. He came up from South Florida and I just said goodbye about half an hour ago. So I'm very happy to have seen my son and have a very deep conversation with him and really honestly, clear up things that I've been wanting to tell him and talk to him about for probably 15 years. So that was a really good time, good conversation. Went for a nice, you know, like 1.5 mile walk. So Mars enters Taurus at 5:27. I totally forgot what I was just looking up. Oh well. Okay, so I'm just going to stick to the storyline here and tell you what's going on today. Mars at 25 degrees Aries squaring the Saturn energy at 1 degree of Aquarius. We have Jupiter at 1 degree Aquarius also, so they're conjunct. Pluto is at 24 degrees. That's what Mars just got past a direct square to Pluto. That means Pluto is major upheaval, major life change, end of the story. Capricorn structures authority. We know the drill. Aries is wrapping up the energy of drive, ambition, and it's not forever, of course. No, it's not forever, but it's this storyline. So interestingly, again, because it's moving into a new sign, and the new sign happens to be Taurus, which is the materiality of something. First, we start with Aries, newborn, the drive. Then we move into the materiality and the manifestation of that energy and it's Taurus. So we're going to see what has been being worked on with the drive. And as far as I'm concerned, the story of the upcoming year for this is going to be around Black Lives Matter, gaining ground with that, doing real world tangible things to make that more rooted in society. Definitely Mars in Aries is police, emergency workers, it's salesmen. I talk about this every time I mention it for the newbies so they get more of a consistent repetition of what that energy is. But and I think this is also what I miss about not having people call in the show right now, is talking about how that interacts with personal charts, because you can only talk so much about an energy before you really want to flesh it out in someone's chart. And so let's just use me. I have Mars at 27 degrees Cancer. Having Mars in the sky at 25 degrees Aries squares my Mars in Cancer. So that means that can be difficulty with men, difficulty with your drive wanting to go this way and well, I'll tell you my drive. I want to be at home. My Mars is in Cancer. I just want to be at home doing my thing at home. And Mars in the sky is saying, no, you got to take action. You got to do something. You know, something's about to happen. And that, of course, is going to color what I'm doing in my day-to-day life. It's like, no, you don't get to just stay at home. You have to go out and interact. And there could be emergencies. There are emergencies happening. My brother-in-law has pneumonia and COVID. So I've got that heightened sense of awareness around urgency, which is kind of a hallmark of that Aries energy. So Mars is interacting. And then we have Pluto at 24 Capricorn, which is right opposite my own Mars. So I've got this cardinal cross, T-square. So it basically means that there's a T in the sky with a planet here, and at the bottom, a planet here. It makes a T in the sky. And those energies interact. Of course, there's an opposition, and then there are two squares. And so that's difficult energy. That's really an energy of upheaval and stress and learning and growth. And I will tell you, there is learning, there is growth. And when I started studying astrology squares were a bad word, but I'll tell you, I embrace squares to an extent. Yes, there's frustration, there's opposition, there's difficulty, but I see a square as probably more I used to see a trine, that a trine is 120 degrees away, the triangle, but the squares really force us to look at where we're complacent, where we're not moving forward. What energy should we be looking at to utilize to make our lives the way we want it? And I'll tell you, you know, I have Mars in Cancer at the top midheaven of my chart. I have Mars in my house of work, and it rules sales, it rules taking action, it rules my health. And so there are some lessons there. Every one of those I need to pay attention to, and I recognize that right now. So it's really helping to wake us up to understand another way of integrating the energies of the zodiac into our day-to-day lives. So Pluto, major life change, psychology, shifting of mentality, shifting of awareness, bringing the hidden out into the open. What is the hidden? What is the dark? What is the side of our psychology we are not willing to make a shift around? Because I tell you, when you have Pluto interacting at cusps, ingressing into another sign, which Pluto's only a few years, maybe even a couple years away from going into Aquarius, major awakening around our psychology, around our emotional health and our mental health, because Aquarius is about mental health and Pluto's about psychology. You put those two together, you're going to see that people are starting to act out as we approach that energy, starting to act out in ways that seem eccentric, or, pardon me, that need different sorts of attention. Autism, bipolar disorder, you know, any borderline personality disorder. It could be anything, but it's coming up, it's bubbling up, because Pluto wants to bring that out into the common awareness. And Aquarius will say, hell yeah, let's get this out, because Pluto is about the emotional bonding to our behaviors, to our psychology. And in Capricorn, it's about what are those psychological blocks and barriers and dogma, belief systems that we don't want to change around structures, around authority, fathers, bosses, having your own credibility. Are you a credible person? Do you feel credible? Do you feel like you're a phony? Why do you feel that way? It's challenging us to own our stuff, not just, oh, I am responsible for the whole universe and I'm going to do that, but really understand our own motivations. And the next few years with Pluto at last degrees of Capricorn are about our motivations around our credibility and our responsibility to ourselves and to the collective. And what are we going to do about it? We had Saturn on Pluto recently and has been there for 2.5 years in the sign of Capricorn, wanting us to wake up to owning our own psychology and letting go of the need to save the world. Time to save yourselves. So Jupiter, he was in Capricorn. Of course, we've talked about this ad nauseum, about really awakening that independent nature, that self-interested nature that gets us out of having to always be the responsible party to everyone else's crap. You don't have to be the responsible party for everyone else's crap all the time. You need to take care of your life. Like Ed Sheeran says, you know, I need to save myself. Don't just save everyone else. You need to save yourself first. And that's where we're heading. So Saturn, Jupiter in Aquarius, initiating energy, 1 degree. They're still right next to each other. They're still right next to each other in the sky. And I love that you could see the rings of Saturn through the telescope and through all the photos that were taken of this event last weekend. It's very cool. And so Jupiter's on his own now. He's flying out, and amazing. I think I mentioned it last week. I'm so excited about this and kind of scared. Jupiter goes into Pisces this year. Did you know this? Yes, it goes into Pisces. And I even wrote this down. I'm sorry. I'm going to just mute again real quick and Aren't you glad you could share that with me? Those of you listening, you're lucky you didn't get to see me blow my nose. But those who are watching me, we all do it. We're human, right? Anyway, um, yeah. Okay, so Jupiter goes into Pisces, and that happens May. Let me see. I got it here. May 15th, I think it was 14th. May 14th. And it lasts until July 28th, approximately. Very close. July 28th. I'll just say that. That's a lot. So this is really the first year in recent memory that Jupiter has not stayed in one sign for the whole year. I mean, with exception of the last 2 weeks of December. It is going for a chunk of time into Pisces, which is amazing because, yes, Jupiter is a fast-moving planet. Usually he gets to the bitter end, like last year, gets to 28 degrees, 29 degrees, and then bounces back like a yo-yo back into the sign he was in. So that's what he did with Capricorn last year. Not this year. He went into to Aquarius this past weekend, and he's the 19th, 16th. You think Saturn was first, Jupiter was second, 19th. And now he's hot and heavy to get to Pisces, which he will get to. And not only will he get to it, he will spend a good chunk of time, like I said, May, June, July, 3 months in Pisces. So I have Pisces at 1 degree, or actually 0 degrees of Pisces, my Saturn. That's what I meant to say. My Saturn's at 0 Pisces. So I'm going to have Jupiter on my Saturn this year. I'm not even going to get into what that could be. I am a little concerned, but we'll see. And so, yeah, we've got that connection really still affecting us. So let's jump from that. Well, I'll take it back. I'll talk to you first real quick. Sun is at 5 degrees of Capricorn, just went in. So now our egos once again are about our authority, who expects us to do stuff. What is the duty we have to do? This is the time of year, I mean, especially today, Boxing Day, it's time to go through everything, plan our resolutions, check out where we need to organize the house. We have so much clutter that we just got in from all the presents, and where are we going to put all these things that we just got? We need to clear out stuff to make room for the new stuff. I just got Keurig for Christmas, so that's kind of cool. And I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with that because I'm moving. Anyway, yeah, so you've got all this energy that we're still expressing in Capricorn. We're still finding our Capricorn voice because we're going to have that through this month every year. And yet we've got this push out of Capricorn. So it's kind of like the major voices, Jupiter and Saturn, have moved on, but yet we've got the little finicky voices of our ego, our mind. We've got today, Mercury is 9 degrees Capricorn, just joined up with the sun and moved on. And he is really wanting to tell everybody what to do. And I will tell you, Vesta is also in Virgo right now. Man, if you want to know nitpicky, how about Mercury in Capricorn and Vesta in Virgo? And I'm a Virgo. So I get it. You got little nitpicky people going, this, that. So that energy is pretty strong through the end of the year. And Venus is at 13 of Sagittarius. So the imagery that just hit me is the horse running, horse races, horses, but also suitcase. So we definitely have the travel energy coming in with Venus, wanting freedom, wanting to get going and not be tied down. And that also means that women are less tolerant of things that they are not really happy with. They're going to call it out. They're going to name it. And my daughter, definitely, she's got someone in her life that is toying with her emotions. And she's like, I'm just going to call it out. And I'm like, call it out. That's a thumbs up for those of you listening. Can't see it. You see my cute little Santa Claus suit, Santa suit nails that I did. Anyway, yes, I am a little tired, a little weird. I think I'm always weird when I do this podcast after 3 in the afternoon. Whatever. So anyway, Let's see what else. Mars, Uranus, Moon. Okay, that pretty much covers it. I'm not going to get into any of the smaller, not smaller per se, but other energies like the nodes or any of the asteroids. So that's what's going on now. So this week, let's just go over a bit of this week. What's going on? We've got, let's see, today is Saturday. Doesn't feel like a Saturday. It feels like a Friday. I guess because it's a real big consumer day. But yeah, doesn't look like we got trines. The moon is trining Pluto at 6:32 this morning. He's trining Saturn and Jupiter this evening. A lot of air energy. We definitely had a weather front move through here, and it was very windy last night, and then it dropped to like 37 degrees here in Orlando, which is pretty damn chilly for those of us who live here. But you know, I'm a Colorado girl, so I relish it, although it is rather chilly sleeping next to a window. Very, very cold last night. Yeah, so moon, you know, energy of home and family, energy of siblings. Mercury, the Mercury and Gemini energy rules siblings, rules communication, education, elementary education, little kids, little animals like lizards, reptiles. And then we have it trining or in cooperative energy, although like I've said before, you may also get something that doesn't feel comfortable. And the people who are going to experience that are the air signs, or those who are, let me see, probably like Cancer is not going to be too happy because, you know, Cancer is emotional and it's in air. That's not really comfortable for Cancer to be in Gemini. And it's also not real comfortable for Cancers and Aquarius. So the energies just don't jive. So yeah, so I would say Cancers and Taurus probably, because again, this coming year, and I think that may be a good segue, there really isn't anything sticking out big except for the full moon next week, which we're going to talk about. Venus squares Neptune on Wednesday, so that's an energy of women and emotion. It also deals with love and universal agape love, which is, you know, I love you because you're worthy of love. But the full moon, let's just jump over the full moon because I don't see anything. You know, our big aspects really were last week. And so the only big aspect coming in now is the moon in Cancer. And then, of course, New Year's, which I'm going to kind of look that over. But let me just find my full moon. There it is. Oh, have mercy. I'm so sorry. Hang on a second. I'm going to just take care of my nose again real quick. You know, when we get these kind of things at the end of the year, colds, allergies, whatever it might be, viruses, we're really kind of drained. I don't know about you, but holidays tend to drain me because there's so much to do. And then you still have the same things you always have. You have, you know, responsibilities for jobs and family. And, you know, if a car breaks down or a kid needs your help, you still have all those stresses. So it's just kind of draining. I just find that I'm really ready for kind of a vacation, honestly. But that'll wait. Okay, so the full moon. The full moon will be at 8 degrees of Cancer. It happens in the evening. I don't have that one printed, so let me just look real quick here and see what time it is. At 10:28 p.m. on the 29th, in 8 degrees and 53 minutes of Cancer. So, you know, using your formulas for what the moon rules the sign of Cancer. It's in its own sign, which means it's the mother, it's the home, family nurturing. It is a very strong need for security. So that's going to be an influence. I'm just looking for New Year's. The moon's in Leo on New Year's, so that's good. So wrapping up what our story is about comfort and security, we have the sun at 8 degrees of Capricorn, so it's change of structure. Having a full moon in Cancer opposite the moon in Capricorn after a year of like the stellium was in Capricorn January of this year. We're still in 2020. My mind's already thinking ahead. So having that energy kind of revisited is emotional. It is a moment of regrouping and figuring out the structure of where you want to go. Then we have Mercury, which absolutely is what we're thinking about. We're thinking about how the systems are working for us. We're thinking about taxes. I mean, Capricorn really, I think, even though Pluto and Scorpio rule the house of taxes and legalities, when we get to Capricorn, Capricorn is the businessman. He's always dealing with the legal structure of the business and insurance and things like that. And I always kind of associate Capricorn with insurance and taxes. So we've got, getting prepped for our taxes in the upcoming year. And it's our thoughts. So Mercury, what are we talking about? What are we thinking about? How are our businesses structured? It is a bit more cut and dry, cold, like in a sense of it's not terribly emotional. So that's opposite the moon. Now, that being said, the moon does look for those structures, that discipline to feel good. And I find out of all the opposites in the zodiac, the Cancer Capricorn one to me is the most, what's a good word for it? Codependent. The most codependent coupling, because the moon is like that, the mom who has to take care of the kids. You can't easily earn a living full-time and take care of kids full-time. So it's always easier if you have someone, a partner to rely on to bring in the living and the money so that you can tend fully to the children. Yes, that's an old mindset, but it really is quintessentially the energy of the moon in Cancer and the sun in Capricorn, the sun being dad, going out, being the one who supports the physical structure of the home life, and then the mom who really takes care of the heart of the home and is the central part of it. So yes, it is stereotypical. It is probably sexist from where we're at today, but that's really the archetype of this energy. And so the sun in Capricorn does represent our career, our life purpose, dad, our boss. Where are we going in their career? Where does our ego say we need to be responsible or own something? What is that sense of accomplishment that we find through what we've chosen to do to make a living in this life? And then we have Pluto. Again, we're not going to talk about Pluto anymore in this one, but he's at 24 on the day of the full moon. So we have 3 planets in Capricorn on the full moon, and that means the combination of those 3 planets are 3 out of 4 of the planets that were clustered in January of last year. So this is going to be a big opportunity to manifest your heart, your life centered around the family. And now you know a lot that you didn't know last year about what is important for your career, for the structure of how that looks, and the ability to build those, which are Pluto, really the upheaval of Pluto saying, okay, this is the psychology. And what do I want to do now that I know what I know? Because remember, Sun, Mercury, Pluto, and Saturn were all in the same point last year, or earlier, January of this year. This coming December, it's really like, okay, we get to wrap up that story for 2020 around the upheaval around career and home. And we're going to really reestablish a new look because Saturn's now in Aquarius. So Saturn is at 1, and then Jupiter will be at 2 degrees. So it's still early degrees, still new. And really, Jupiter's flying past Saturn now. Saturn's just getting used to the energy that he is no longer on solid ground. Now he's up in the air. It's like the balloon lifted up. And Mars in Aries is the fire that's taking it up too. Keep in mind that Aries and Aquarius are in sextile, which is 60 degrees apart, and they're cooperative as a sign. That being said, Mars is not cooperative to early degrees of Aquarius because they are almost exactly square. Since they just moved out of the end degrees of Capricorn, they are just past a square. But by the archetype of the energy. Oh, sorry, I've got a hair on my face. I'm just a hot mess. Huh? Oh well, we're going to just let it fly. Who cares? Mars in sextile by sign, 2 signs away, is saying, you know, we get you. You know, the air fans the flame of fire, and fire, you know, because air fans the flame, is just really going to burn faster and hotter. So that is really where Aries is during this full moon, trying to get going. That being said, the full moon at 8 degrees is closer to a sextile with a late degree Mars. So they are actually becoming more cooperative. Oh, sorry. Initially on the full moon. As the moon continues to move forward, of course, he will square Mars at 26 degrees, which will be the 30th of the year until moon moves into Leo, and then we have New Year's. And so I'm just going to kind of combine New Year's with giving you a little taste of the areas. I know I mentioned this last week of each of the signs, but guess what? This week I actually have the chart. So it's kind of drawn out and I've got all my markings. So I'm just going to reiterate probably some, but not all of what I said last week, but really a nutshell of what each sign can expect. And then hopefully into next year, when I get settled a little more, we can really flesh out more of what's happening in 2021. Yeah, normally I do the full reading for the year. I put it up on my blog. I do a couple shows about your sign. It's just not going to happen this year immediately because I've just got, as I've said, so many other major issues going on in my life that are precluding me from really the focus it takes to do that. But I am still here. I will love to go over your chart. If you would like to do a reading, you can get me at angeliczodiac.com. But anyway, we'll go and give you a taste of what's coming. And I even put it out in a natural. Did you see it? Or does it say natural right there? Natural chart, which means 0 degrees Aries on the horizon, 0 degrees Libra. Everything falls in line as it naturally does, which makes it easier for me to give you a reading about. So Aries, your Aries, even though Mars is there at the beginning of the year, you will be wrapping up some stories around your sense of self, your drive, where you intend to head with your energy. And most of next year, though, your energy, Mars is going through so many signs. I think he gets all the way to Sagittarius by the end of the year, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just check that out real quick. I think last week we discovered that Mars will be going almost through all the signs by the end of the year. Yeah, he gets to Sagittarius. So he's going through 10 signs, 9 signs by the end of the year. That's a lot. This year he went through like 2, maybe 3. That's a lot of signs. So we're all going to feel this energy of Mars. But it is wrapping up how our drive is acting upon our environment, where our ambitions lie, and what we choose to do with that. And Aries, that's your realm. And so you're going to have the focus. I'm just going to tell each of the signs where the focus is going to be for the year. And we are having Uranus square Jupiter coming up 3 times this year. And I want to say the first time is in February. I think it's February, June, and November, but we'll talk about that, you know, after the beginning of the year. But there is a square between Jupiter and Uranus that is a major indicator and will be, as far as I'm concerned, the major theme for 2021. And that is Jupiter is travel in Aquarius, wanting freedom, wanting to not have to take responsibility for more than the self in the collective. It's now about me, because remember, it's the manifestation of the Capricorn energy. Capricorn on the first house puts Aquarius in the second of manifestation. So now we're looking at how we can manifest our life purpose, our own credibility and leadership. But it's at odds with Uranus, and Uranus rules Aquarius. So what is that? And it's in Taurus, which is money and love. So money and love, growing things, growing something new, but we have to battle over where we are in the collective. And then the other story, well, a few stories that I'm getting from this, and then I'll get back to the signs, is learning, because Jupiter is about learning. And Uranus is about curiosity. So they do have a curiosity / educational connection, but Jupiter wants to do it and go, not hang around. Taurus is all about hanging around and a well-worn path. But because Jupiter answers to Uranus, it is about getting the freedom from that repetitive story, and money and love. So money and love, what does that mean? It means that relationships that have been deeply embedded are enmeshed. Things that you stay in because you don't want to leave, you aren't anxious to get out of the familiar, are going to be challenged. And there will be alternatives. There will be other things we see that we didn't see before, because Aquarius gives us a broader vision, gives us an awakening. And so we're going to see more possibilities and new opportunities. And especially Aquarius energy is entrepreneurial, as I've beaten to death. And so we're going to want to find some other means of doing our own thing through entrepreneurship, through retail, which is Taurus. Taurus is retail. So it is also about money through sales, but it is about the markets, and it's about cryptocurrency, which I've been talking about a couple of years ago. I was talking a lot more about it, but cryptocurrency, I just had a huge discussion with my son. He really knows a lot. And I hammered home, like, you need to buy cryptocurrency, crypto. And he's finally started doing it. I'm very proud of him. Probably doesn't remember that I hammered him to get it, but he's on board with it now. And so what is crypto? Crypto is digital currency, basically. And it's kind of having debit cards and Apple Pay are like a step closer to cryptocurrency. So we're really, I mean, I see all these signs that say, you know, shortage of pennies, shortage of currency. We don't take cash anymore. Saw a sign this week, we don't take checks anymore. It's all on the precipice of using digital currency and moving to that different mindset. And the youth are probably, as there are more and more youth in Aquarius, and of course now we've got 2 planets more in Aquarius. My son was born with Neptune and Uranus in Aquarius, and now we've got Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius. So the children are awakening to, and I say children, you know, all ages of our children, but millennials and current day, they're awakening to this energy of digital currency. And that's where the collective mindset's going. So I do see having that square and also having Saturn in Aquarius is going to rein it in. It's going to be, okay, if we have this, then what is the structure of it? And how does that make sense to us? You know, Saturn wants to make everything organized, but Aquarius doesn't want organization, but it doesn't matter because Saturn is going to be there taking to task all the details, and it will be part of the storyline of this year. The square between Jupiter and Uranus is going to be long distance travel, education, expansion of mind, expansion of inventions. But how are we doing that? What is the modality? Is it going to work? It's really kind of getting the kinks out, but also inclusivity. And so Uranus is the humanitarian energy that brings it all together and pulls us together as a community and a collective consciousness. So really it's going to be a lot of that energy, and that energy for Aries falls in the house of, so I set this up right on my little chart, community. It's going to be about community, the community you have, and also about the money, Uranus and Taurus. And that's a long-term storyline for Aries. Everybody, you know, Uranus and Taurus is here for like 7 years. So wherever it falls in your chart, that's pretty much your area of learning and understanding and growing new information and awareness of something you didn't know before. Also technology, incorporating technology, can't forget that, electronics, technology. So that falls in your house of money and tangible goods. It's more computers, it's finding new methods for growing things, growing food. It's also about growing your community. Taurus, it's about your ego, your identity, learning more, like getting outside of your comfort zone about the dogma. No, I have to take my time to understand this. You're understanding it quicker and quicker. this is really beneficial for Taurus if you allow it. So don't get into your dogma, don't get your hooves entrenched, but be open, because you have so many possibilities coming in for you. And it means making money on the internet, making money in alternative ways, unusual ways, ideas, inventions. For everybody, that energy is there. But for the Taurians, that is your connectedness to how you go about your day-to-day sense of self and who am I in the collective. And you're growing, really tremendous growth for Taurus. Also, Taurus, your career is really strongly affected this year on entrepreneurship. Gemini, it's going to be about education and travel and growth, about new ways of doing, could be if you're a musician, new ways of doing your music. It's new inventions that affect people of other cultures, cooperation with other cultures, but not necessarily the ability to travel there until we move past that restriction of Saturn. So it's definitely going to be a little bit more restrictive for a few years with Saturn and Aquarius. And Jupiter hitting Pisces, which, remember, Pisces is our sign of Mercury retrograde during the COVID introduction at the beginning of 2020. So the middle of this year is really kind of the entrenchment of the COVID storyline, trying to go between Aquarius energy of Jupiter, which is the vaccine, and then Pisces, which is the disease itself, and also alternatives, multiples, changing the virus, changing the vaccine, multiples of each, and also countries and cooperation with countries of getting a vaccine and changes amongst those countries. Yeah, so Gemini is about that educational, and always is about education. Okay, Cancer energy for you is going to be Uranus in your house of cooperation with others towards the career you choose. So again, your soul group associated with your life purpose. And then let's see, and also marriage and partnership. You're going to have more of a desire to detach from the relationships you have, longer term, like business partners, marriage partners. There's going to be a strong sense of like, this person is just dragging me down. I need freedom, freedom, freedom. So know that that's coming, and hopefully your spouse will be able to cooperate with that energy. If they have planets in Aquarius and you're a Cancer rising, they're going to be more able to deal with the changes for you. Of course, Cancer and Aquarius are not really friendly with each other as far as like the way they look at life. They just are coming at two different angles that don't really have commonality. Leo. So we have Moon at 5 degrees Leo on New Year's. And that means that the year is going to be set up around status, around leadership, around creativity, cooperation, relatedness, relationships, and children. All of those things really are like the overlay for the year. And then Jupiter, Saturn opposing on the new year, which is all of the Saturn, Jupiter stuff I've been talking about, cooperation with other ways of thinking, other individualities. And so it's really going to be a battle between leadership and individuality, cooperation and relating and individuality. So just look for that. It's a year of discovering your individuality. Virgo, you have a lot of energy up in travel, but it's really, Uranus is in the house of travel, so it's cooperation with people of other cultures, but is Uranus, which is alternative methods, in Taurus, which is growing something with other people of other cultures. And potentially, that's also a house connection. So Taurus is material goods and structures and the physicality of something and manifestation of something in the material world. And that's the house. Sagittarius is where I look for selling houses. So there could be some house energy going on with that, and an independent energy with houses. And then you have a lot of the Capricorn, Aquarius hitting your children and hitting work. So again, entrepreneurship, but maybe being a little bit more aware of your discipline around children, like being more strict with yourself in structures around children and how you teach them. Libra, you've got the energy falling in commitment to others and legalities and joint finances with the Taurus. So it's going to be, again, moving into freedom and ways of earning more money for the family through alternative methods or even entrepreneurship, especially after the beginning of the year when Mars gets into Taurus for the brief time. I think he's there like a month, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. And so he's going to really trigger the drive to start something new with a partner, potentially with your marriage partner. So that's cool because Libras really need to have someone else to bounce ideas off of. The Aquarian energy falls in children, and Libras, Libra is a sign traditionally that is good with adoption. I think Dave, what's his name? I don't remember his last name. The guy who founded Wendy's, I think was a Libra, but Aquarius, air signs tend to be more of the adopters of the zodiac or adopted. So that might even be an opportunity. Maybe you'll be adopting someone, a child in the new year. Scorpio, you have Uranus in the house of marriage and partnership. So it's finding your individuality, your well, I won't say entrepreneurship. That wasn't what I was going to say. Individuality, autonomy is the word I was looking for. Your autonomy within the relationship in the new year. And also finding your autonomy within the family and even in your own home. So I have a Scorpio rising, and that's very accurate to what I'm doing, is finding my own voice in where I want to be and what I want to do. Sagittarius, everything falls in the lower half for you, in the lower half of the zodiac, which is one-on-one with people. Even though all the energy is mostly the slower moving long-term planets, which is transpersonal, collective, it is one-on-one for you. So you're finding your soul group and how you can be part of the collective as an individual and have one-on-one relationships with authority in your money situations, getting your money squared away, getting new individual ideas on how you can teach people, how you can give your understanding of the world and expansion of new ideas to the collective and getting it out there verbally or written. You've got Neptune. I haven't touched much on Neptune. Maybe we'll do more of that later, but Neptune will be trining Cancer and Scorpio. The water signs will be, it's in Pisces. So mid-range, so around the 10th of the month for the water signs, will be in direct trine to the Neptune energy, making the dream come true. For you, Capricorn, that falls in education and being more storytelling with your ability to get the story out, like, really go to the past, the vintage energy. And then Uranus for you, Capricorn, falls in the house of children. And so there is an independence and a pulling away of your children into a new life for you. And I actually know a couple of Capricorns, and I know one elderly Capricorn lady, she has a new boyfriend, and she's thinking of, getting on with her life in later years. And I think she's 80, going, off with him. So that's kind of cool. Aquarius, the story is about you. Jupiter, Saturn, it's about your individual voice. It's about who you are as a person. Can be a little bit, Saturn and Aquarius can be pretty cut and dry. I had a discussion with my son who Saturn's right on his rising sign. Man, he was just like, I may not get married, which is interesting. He would socially marry, but not legally marry. And, it's about the structure being alternative, which I could see that with him. I could see him saying, I'm not going to get married. I'm just going to have children and not get married. That's Saturn and Aquarius. And then let's see, you got the Mars. Mars is going to hit the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and a little bit of your career house. So all of your interpersonal and workplace environment, and then it heads off into your career come probably November. You're going to really feel a shift in your careers, Aquarius. Pisces, you've got the Aquarius in your 12th house, which means you're going to be channeling like crazy. You got information. You are the psychics of the year. Like, man, it's just coming in at you. And then Uranus is going to fall into your house of education. You've had Neptune in your first house for a while, so you're pretty well getting used to this watery, emotional, deep energy, and you probably want a little break. All the water signs are probably looking for a break. I know I am. I've got water rising, and I've got a lot of energy in water signs. So we're looking for a big shift to a detachment. So even though Aquarius isn't always really a good energy for the water signs, except for maybe Pisces, because they're analogous, they're right next to each other. Scorpio and Cancer, probably going to have a little bit of a battle getting control of yourself with the independence from emotionalism, home life. But Pisces, you're going to really be able to cut more ties in some ways, and also ramp up your business and ramp up your presence in what you do. So it's really good for Pisces. So new technology if you're a photographer, and definitely tell the story, tell the genealogy, go to the past, bring the past to the present, make it relevant. That's your storyline. Let me see, what else was there last for Pisces? Yeah, it's about education and getting your voice heard, and then also information coming into you this year. It's very subliminal, and a lot of hidden stuff may be coming out for you, Pisces. That's the show for this week. I got to get going. This is a really long show. But anyway, thank you so much for being here and sticking it out. Look me up online, ShelleyOverton.com. The links are below on video and on SoundCloud. And look me up on Instagram, all the usual places. It's all at the end. In the end, bumpers on the show. And we'll see you in 2021. Bye. Take care. Love you. Bye. Wow. I'm definitely getting, every year when I lived in Colorado, I would get congested when the weather changed, and you would go into a heated environment, and then you went from like outside activities to indoor heating. And then you would get that again in the springtime when you went and got outside, and then you went to outdoor living. I was always fighting respiratory illness at those times of year. I still get it, but fortunately, being vegan, I'm able to really combat it. It's not as bad. And then I take vitamin C and echinacea, and it's gone in a couple days, as opposed to dragging on for months, which it used to when I was in my 20s. Thankfully, I discovered herbs. So yay. Okay.
You have been listening to the AstroEnergy Astrology Show. If you would like to get a private reading with Shelley, please contact her through angeliczodiac.com or at so@angeliczodiac.com. You can arrange a reading through the Angelic Zodiac page at facebook.com as well. Check out Angelic Zodiac on Instagram for up-to-date information on events, discounts, blogs and planetary transits at Angelic Zodiac 1 on Instagram. If you would like to see Shelley's art, ShelleyOverton.com, or for astrology art, go to astroart.net. Music provided by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. Other music will be credited within the show. Advice given in the program is intended for entertainment purposes only. Join us here next week for more of the AstroEnergy Astrology Show podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Google Play, and where podcasts are accessed.